How sweep it is, Mets fans. How sweep it is. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy, Wardy, here, and we're back at with another Metropolitan post-game show presented by our amazing sponsors here at Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. BetUS that has you covered for the sports betting needs, and of course, SeatGeek. Utilize our promo code Wardy10 today. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. Link down below in the description, and as down below to hang out with your guy Wardy. August 1st, Mets San Francisco Giants, the day after the MLB trade deadline, everybody. Get your tickets today should you have interest with all the fun perks with hanging out with your guy Wardy. And I'm amped up to get into this Metropolitan victory. Why, you might ask? Because the Mets have now won 4 straight games. They take down the Halos in what was a fantastic fashion here, winning by a final score of 6-3. And I want to see not just those W's spam the live chat, folks. Sweep it is, everybody. Not only do the Mets get the Samoan Southpaw and Sean Manaea to give them roughly 6 strong innings today, we're going to get in what I liked about Sean, and maybe is there a concern level at all with his velocity? I'm going to tell you right now, not overly concerned there, but we're going to certainly talk about it. Then on the offense, who do we need to see step up big time today for this Metropolitan team? You needed the Polar Bear, you needed Nimmo, and you most certainly need your captain in Francisco Lindor to step up there to snap his 0-for-30 skid, and all the following became a reality, everybody. The 3-headed monster, the 3 big bats in this lineup are what propelled this Mets team to victory, and I'm so happy to break down everything that transpired in this entire ball game, inning 1 through 9, as we always do. But I want to see get the temperature check going. Let me see in the live chat. Let's get the W's in the broom span. So everyone watching this on replay, let me know your key reactions and thoughts in the comments down below as we break down every single Metropolitan ball game throughout the course of the 162 postseason play. And when it comes to news, rumors, you name it, we have you covered here on the platform as we have more content dropping potentially later on today and a big banger of a video dropping tomorrow with a very special guest. You guys are not going to want to miss that for the off day, so be on the lookout for it, everybody. But I want to see those brooms. Spam it right here in the chat right now. Wardy's amped up. How can you not be? The Mets go on and sweep the Halos in what was a strong fashion. Yes, the umpires absolutely screwed the Angels later on this ball game. There's no denying that whatsoever. Renifo unfortunately had to be Helen Keller because he would have had the same chance to actually win that at bat otherwise, because it did not matter where the balls and strikes were going. You had a schmuck of an umpire benefiting the Mets. I'm not complaining about that, but seriously, egregious calls left, right, and center we saw before this ball game concluded. Let's break it down. Let's get into the highs, the lows, and everything that happened in this one, everybody, because as I always do, I gotta ask you guys right now to give me a thought process. Don't tell me, but think about it. What would you grade Sean Manaea's line on a scale of 1 to 10 today? We will get back to that later after we break down what was so brilliant about Sean going 5 strong innings for this Mets team. The bullpen was rock solid. If you weren't Jose Butto making your return to this bullpen, we'll talk about what didn't work right for Butto. How concerned should we be? And I'm not going to tell you right now you shouldn't be overly concerned. I'll expand as to why that is here shortly, as well as Brooks Raley and Edwin Diaz shutting down the door the way that they have plenty, especially since Raley came back from injury. Already one of the most reliable relievers in this Mets pen, along with Sugar Diaz. And on the offensive end, this is how the ball game ended, as you guys can see beside me, everybody. So certainly the Mets had the offensive heroics from the Polar Bear, from not only as well Marte, who was back in the lineup today that we saw. Very, very happy to see that there. From the depth of the line, 1 through 9, a lot of positive takeaways, to say the least, everybody. So as always, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way in. I want to see the hype going. I want to see how you amazing Mets fans are feeling right now. Kevin Kane, thank you so much for the $5 haul. Where do you get some sun? You're matching those lobsters. I am. I'm also when I get hot and when I start rambling, I get very red fast. So it is true. I did have plenty of sun, but it's also true that I get tomato face in a second as soon as I'm amped up about my New York Metropolitan squad here. Let's see. You're matching those lobsters. Great win. Great series win. Great series sweep for sure against the Angels, and they didn't beat themselves today. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that donation. I really do appreciate that. Also, everybody, I think we are okay on the audio end, but I did see someone say earlier that the audio cut out for a second. If there are any audio issues, please let me know, and I can make sure I can try my best to nip that in the butt while we're still ahead a little bit, everybody. No, I'm not on Long Island, but it's funny that you said that, Sean. A lot of you guys thought that yesterday. That is not the case, however. But what is the case, everybody, is that after a big victory like this, before we break down the ball game, before we get into our amazing sponsors, and before I answer all of your comments, questions, and concerns to all my amazing Mets fans watching live on a replay right now, we got to let it rip as we always do, everybody, with the one, the only, the official sweep edition post-game jingle, baby. Let's have ourselves an evening. Let's do this.
Postgame. Postgame. Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talk about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame.
Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Love it or hate it, it is here to stay, everybody. As always, the same way that our amazing sponsors that help make the platform possible are here to stay as well, including our great friends that many of you guys know very well here at BetUS that have you covered for all of your sports betting needs or casino needs. Just make sure you dabble responsibly should you have interest, and if you do, head over to betus.com.pa today and utilize our promo code YouTube150 because you're going to get a 150% bonus on your first deposit for signing up. And as you guys can see, if you hammer the Mets money line pregame today, you came out like a bandit. Mets minus 171 there to win over the Angels on the money line, and they certainly came out big time and swept them in the end. So if you guys hammered, if you had a bias bet on the Mets today, congratulations. You came out with some dough. Not only did you see your favorite team sweep the Halos, but you came out with some dollars as well. So congratulations to everyone in advance there, guys. But when it comes to picks, props, plays, you name it, BetUS, as always, will have you covered over there. As well as SeatGeek, as we just mentioned earlier, head over there and utilize that promo code WARDY10 if you guys want to save some dough there on your next ticket purchase, and tell them that Wardy sent you with the promo code WARDY10. There we go. How we doing, everybody? Let's get the hype going in the chat. I want to see all you amazing Mets fans. What is the temperature check? How hyped up are we right now for an amazing Mets team that now currently stands, as we take a look at the wild card standings? The Mets are somehow, some way already third wild card, but that has a lot to do. Actually, it's because there's a tie. That makes a lot more sense. The Cubs, the Mets, who with this victory today, and should the Phillies lose, will be tied with the Phillies for first place as well. So there's a lot potentially on the line here, everybody. And as we can see and go expand on this a little bit further here, what were the key takeaways, especially when looking at the standings now? Did the Phillies have their game yet? I'm just double checking. Oh, the Phillies won today. Never mind. Oh, wait, no, wait, that was yesterday. My bad. Okay. Mets won today 6-3. Did the Phillies play their game yet? Let's see here. They did not. The Phillies don't play until tonight. Let's go, Lucas Giolito and the Boston Red Sox. That's what Wardy has to say about that. With a victory, the Mets will be back in first place. They're currently tied for first, but if the Phillies lose today, they will officially be back in that spot, everybody, as the Mets are 59-44 and the Phillies are 58-43. So that is the latest on the wild card standings and where everything is currently aligned there, everybody. We got Juliet Hawkins, great member of the chat. We got Broken Jester. How are you, great member? Thank you so much for chiming in, my friend. Sound goes out like every 2.5. Okay, thank you, Demi. I appreciate that. If it becomes a greater issue, let me know, guys, and I'll do my best to try to nip it in the butt throughout the course of the show for you. But I appreciate you relaying that. I think it's honestly because I'm getting so hyped up and so excited. My mic doesn't know what to do about it. Rebecca Allen, great member. Happy to have you in here. Kevin Kane, as always. Juliet, we got Liv in the chat. We got JTB. We got Kenneth doing the roll call to everyone watching live right now. Wardy, how are you? We got Yoshima, great member in the chat. Broken Chester, great member. Cannot wait to see you there at Wardy Day. We got John Infante. How are you? We got Big Frank in here. How we doing? We got all you guys. Scott Miller, Andrew Kim, going up the list here even more. Robert Emar, longtime follower. G Money Stacks, Jeff Frisella, how are you? We got James, how we doing? We got Andrew, how we doing? We got Higgins in the chat, how we doing, baby? We got Jojo, great member. As always, happy to have you in here. Juan Diaz, great member and moderator. Thank you kindly for chiming in. We got Andres Rodriguez chiming in. Jason Splitsburg, post game. I know you guys love the jingle. Love to see that. Thomas, let's see, Narvaez, how are you? Tomas, thank you so much for chiming in, my friend. Going up here even more to make sure I don't miss anybody. Nolan L, great member. Thank you for chiming in. Sean MD, if I didn't say him already, great member. Thank you so much. Killa, going up the list here. Eugene, Patrick, all you guys chiming in live at a replay. Thank you. Kevin, thank you for that donation. Yoshima, I missed the $5 earlier, Yoshima, but it's okay. We're going to break it down now. Also 2-0 in the Elmo era. My son Shay, who's just over a year of age, loves Elmo. And when I showed him a photo of Elmo on my phone yesterday, he lost his mind. And the Mets got the win. So I'm not saying that we got a rally Elmo thing going here, but I'm saying we got a rally Elmo thing going here, everybody. I'm not exaggerating as I say that. As you guys can see, this was Elmo in all of his Mets glory there yesterday at Citi Field. You love to see it. And now the Mets are 2-0 with Elmo. This could be our grimace. This could be something. The Mets just need to do something to get on a groove. Oh, I just realized my audio may have just cut out for a second, so just to reiterate what I was saying in case you guys missed it, Elmo back. I'm not saying that he's a heavy rally, but guys, Elmo, rally Elmo, it's kind of working right now. Back-to-back victories, series sweep. We're going to take that to the bank every single day of the week, baby. Yoshima, thank you again for that donation. I appreciate that. Hilariously enough, Skadoodle, I did not see your comment in the chat until now. 2-0 in the Elmo era. Exactly, my friend. Exactly. Thank you guys again. I'm so happy to be breaking down this amazing victory because honestly, the biggest takeaway that I had out of this entire victory today was the fact that, one, Lindor's back. Remember when you guys thought that Lindor couldn't hit a baseball again because he went on an over 30 skid? I remember how the media and all these schmucks on social media, including Talking Baseball, etc., have to amplify it as if it's an actual problem, as if it isn't just a rut that any and every player will find themselves going through. I understand Lindor's the guy. He's our captain. Lofty expectations. We ride high with him, and we certainly fall down low when he's not performing. Having said that, we knew that Lindor than what he was able to exemplify for the Mets that we saw offensively today. So I'm really, really happy about Lindor's offensive production. Alonso came up big time with one of the biggest bombs that you will ever see, but I don't want to waste any more time. I just want to get in and break down this ball game. Jeff with a $5. Oh, thank you, Jeff. To everyone that donates, know that your comments will be answered first, so thank you guys kindly for them. So glad to see Lindor snap out of the slump before the road trip. I could not agree more, and I'm glad that you actually kind of took the words out of my mouth there. You love to see that. Is it wrong to hope Pete doesn't break the record on the road? Don't want him to run cold, but I understand that completely, Broken Jester, and I don't think that's a wrong thing to say. The audio cut out badly. Noted. I will bear that in mind, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. OMG, ain't gonna happen. I'll tell you that right now. If the Mets are gonna land someone from the Padres, it ain't gonna be Jose Iglesias, but it is gonna be someone on the pitching end. And we're gonna expand more on that and content as soon as later on today, if not mañana, early tomorrow, with a huge video that we're dropping on the platform for each and every one of you guys to check out. But all right, guys, without further ado, Blindbeard's in the chat, so we know we're locked and loaded and ready to go. Let's get on to breaking down this victory and what were the key takeaways here from the Mets taking this big series sweep here against the Halos. Help us get to 100 likes, everybody. We're right around halfway there in the chat, and we have 200 plus live viewers. So if you guys could hit that like and subscribe on your way in, that is always greatly appreciated. And thank you guys kindly for going ahead and doing exactly that. The Mets offensively in this one, everybody, what do you need to know? They won 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. I will take a 300 batting average every single day of the week when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. We will certainly take those pros for what they are. We will also take Sean Manaea going 5 strong innings for you, regardless on the velo being up or down. There were positives to take away on that front, plenty much so. So let's go ahead and let's get into this ball game, everybody, and let's break down the reactions together live in real time, because this ball game started in the first there for the Halos, and they went down in order. Why? Because Sean Manaea, for the second time in his first 3 games back with this Mets team, strikes out the side to begin his outing. I mean, Sean Manaea has been a man possessed early on when he's facing these batters. That arm slot change continues to be beyond effective, and we're seeing it right before our very eyes just how much he's going to continue to go out and dominate. So Sean strikes out the side. Nito, Shadywell, who torched the Mets with 4 hits and 2 doubles yesterday, and Mike Trout, who had a bomb later on this one. It did not matter, everybody, because we would then get to the bottom of the first inning. And who leads off this ball game big time for this Mets team? Who gets the offense started? Is BrandonNYM, more like Brandon Bombs. We saw him rip one to right, everybody. And at the time, that gave the Mets the early 1-0 lead. Things you love to see. After that NYM home run, his 19th home run this season, we would see Lindor fly out, Soto ground out, and Alonso strike out, but not before the Mets are finding themselves up 1-0. And the second, we see Taylor Ward rip himself a leadoff single. Joe Adele with a walk. All right, 2 on, no outs for Sean Manaea facing Mr. Jorge Soler. What does he do? He gets a called strike 3 on Jorge Soler is the way he does. Then he gets a fly out on Travis d'Arnaud, the schmuck, former Met, now foe. And Renifo gets on with a walk. So it's bases loaded here for the Halos to try to make something happen. And in a bases loaded situation, the former LA Dodger now turned, yes, LA Angel, Chris Taylor. What happens to Taylor, everybody? Taylor would ground out to end the inning. Sean Manaea does some Houdini magic yet again and works out of the bases loaded jam that we would see there in that second inning. The Mets are up by 1 through 2. In the bottom of the second, however, star-studded Starling Marte back in the lineup and back, making a difference immediately, everybody. Marte with a leadoff single, and this is what I mean, guys. Marte did not skip a beat at all today. I think that's very encouraging, right? He was batting over 300 that we saw in around 100 at-bats there, batting specifically against left-handed starting pitching in that platoon DH role, and he's thriving. We're seeing Marte with a nice leadoff single to begin this ball game. Brett Beatty there, 2 on, no out, as Beatty rips himself a single. Mark Vientosin unfortunately grounds into a double play because, of course, he does there. Again, it's going to happen, I understand. And then Terrence pops out, so the Mets do strand what would have been an awesome opportunity to pounce with runners in scoring position there, less than 2 outs. They were not able to do that, but they were still up at least by 2 as we then, 1 rather, as we then got into the next inning. And as we got into the next inning there in the third, everybody, with 2 outs, here's Mike Trout facing Sean Manaea, and Sean made one little mistake, and that was by throwing a pitch that honestly wasn't even a bad pitch. Mike Trout is just a man possessed. Mike Trout goes 380 feet, 103 off the bat on a four-seam fastball so away from the zone, it's not even funny. It wasn't even close to touching the strike zone, but he poked it and got it. Trout tied the ball game initially there 1-1, but even when he hit that home run, I didn't say to myself, uh-oh, the Mets have a big problem. On their hands, it wasn't a bad pitch by Sean. Completely out of the zone. All you have to do is tip your cap to one of the best MLB players to ever do it in the game right now, Mike Trout, who sadly has had his entire career wasted away there with an Angels team that is never, and I mean never, going to win a damn lick with him. Until they make drastic changes in their philosophy from front office down, they will let that man rot, and it's a shame to see. At least he's making the big bucks while doing it. Tyrone Taylor in the bottom of the third inning, everybody, we would see get on there with a leadoff walk. Then WardyNYM is on with a hit by pitch. So Brandon being effective, getting on base, even though that I know he's not the first to tell you that I want to be hit by a pitch. At least Brandon went out and was being productive after that home run right away, guys. And then we see right there, after there's 2 on, less than 2 out, here's Francisco Lindor batting from the right side against the southpaw there for the Halos, and he makes him pay. He rips himself a nice, huge RBI single. That gives the Mets the 2-1 lead, and that snaps the 0 for 31 skid for Francisco Lindor entering that at-bat. So shout out to Frankie getting the job done there. That gives the Mets the lead, and thankfully, they would not look back from that point on, because after Juan Soto pops out, you still have 2 on for Pete Alonso to work with. And what does the Polar Bear do, everybody? The Polar Bear exemplifies the power on the southpaw eater. He gets a meatball 93 down the pipe. What do you think is going to happen, you silly man? It is absolutely demolished. 440 feet, 112 off the bat to left. His 22nd home run of the season for the Polar Bear, everybody. And now 80 RBIs on the year, guys. You heard that correctly. Pete Alonso is just 5 RBIs shy of tying his 2024 total. No, that's not an exaggeration. I actually might even be giving them a couple more RBIs. It's 83 or 85. I know it for a fact, because I remember like it was yesterday that the 2024 season ended. Alonso hit last season, what was it, 34, 35 home runs. Didn't have a lot of RBIs because he was not clutch with runners in scoring position. Not the case this season, everybody. The Polar Bear is the most clutch hitter that the Mets could ask for when it comes to runners in scoring position. That big bomb by Pete, his 22nd of the year, gives the Mets at the time a 5-1 lead. And how can you not be amped up about Pete Alonso finding that home run swing? I was actually really encouraged by the fact that Pete went ahead and did that against the lefty, because while Alonso has had success against lefties to a degree this season, it hasn't been an overly big commonality throughout his career. He's actually been very Jekyll and Hyde in his productivity that we've seen against southpaw pitching. Emerson, how are we doing, baby? Happy to have you in the chat. Great member as always. Is Lindor officially the captain? He is not officially the captain. I'm glad you said that, because we were all led to believe by the MLB video leak right before David Wright's big day that, the passing the torch is probably going to happen. Then it doesn't happen. I'm not mad that didn't happen, but it's more so, what the hell was that video in the first place? If you guys don't understand what I'm referencing, I came out with a video over this past week on the platform that you guys can check out. It says report Lindor's captaincy status or something along those lines, as Lindor on the thumbnail. And we broke down and showed you guys the video that MLB dropped themselves that you could check out on MLB and the Mets official website. In the description, it said from Keith Hernandez to, David Wright, to potential captain Francisco Lindor, take a look at the greatest leaders in Mets history. It was a nice little hype video that we all watched on the platform together, yet they took it down from the website hours after it blew up on social media, and then obviously nothing happened over Rights Weekend, and that's fine that nothing happened there. We're just left confused as to why did that even happen in the first place. You know, according to Keith Rad and Howie Rose, who do a fantastic job as always on the call for the Mets there through radio, they were stating a couple games ago how they weren't expecting David Wright's day to be at all impacted with Lindor's captaincy status. And furthermore, from what they heard throughout the grapevine was that they're actively trying to figure out who at MLB or who at the Mets, whoever was the one who dropped that video, because it didn't make any sense as to why it came out. So I don't have any more clarity beyond that, but it's a great question regarding Lindor, because no, he is not officially the captain of the team, but he has unofficially been the captain of this team for multiple years now. We all know this, and that goes without saying. As we continue on, though, everybody, the Mets are up 5-1 in this ball game, and afterwards we would see the fourth inning, folks. We'd see Joe Adell ground out, Kevin Newman with a line out, and Travis Starno ground out. That does it there for the fourth. In the bottom of the fourth inning, Mark Vientos rips his 11th double of the season, everybody. That has a runner in scoring position right away, and Vientos casually continues his hit streak now to 5 consecutive games. And this is why I've been telling you guys. Vientos, who is finally heating up right before the All-Star break. Then the All-Star break happened, which did not benefit anyone in that sense. However, Mark comes back on a 5-game heater with the hits. Even though Vientos really hasn't had more than a hit each game, at least he's constantly putting the ball in play and being productive out there. That is encouraging, and you do have to wonder the future of not only Vientos, Acuna, and to lesser degrees Mauricio, and to a very lesser degree Beatty, because there isn't a chance in hell Beatty gets traded unless the Mets find a true third base option that they love a lot more than him out there. And I think Eugenio Suarez is like the only exception. He is literally the only guy I could think of, because otherwise, why would you want to even consider getting rid of Beatty? He's been a plus defender at second base and at third base. The Mets love his versatility. Hitting wise, he's been hitting far greater than we saw versus him not hitting not even a beach ball in the first couple weeks of the season, everybody. So Acuna and Vientos are 1 and 2 as the most likely infielders to be traded by the Mets from now up until the deadline. And if they are going to trade them, there is good reason as to why they're going to do it. So my question to everyone watching this live on a replay right now is as follows. Out of all those infielders that we just mentioned, which player would you be most comfortable with the Mets parting ways with should they decide to trade at least one of them from now up until the deadline? I'm really curious your thoughts there. I love Mark. I don't want to see him gone, but I understand that this is a business and we don't necessarily know what the future holds there. We would see Luis Torrens there get on with a fielder's choice, everybody. Not going to complain about that. There's a runner on just like that. And then afterwards, we would see Tyrone Taylor fly out and Brandon Nimmo get on with a single. So you got runners at the corners for Francisco Lindor. Lindor, whose previous at-bat drove in a run there that we saw with a nice RBI. What would Lindor be able to do this time? What does Francisco Lindor, everybody? He would go ahead and rip himself another clutch RBI. Lindor pokes another single. That makes it 6-1 Mets at this ball game. The Mets would go on to win by a total of 6 runs. Mark Levin, happy to have you in the chat. My friend Bobby G, great member, great longtime follower. Ricardo in the chat. Frank Sessa, get the brooms out. Get the brooms out indeed, baby. It is time for each and every one of you to go out and sweep. I actually just realized I didn't even do a sweep cell. I usually do a nice little sweep celebration when I do my little post-game jingle. If you guys remind me before I end the live show today, I will do the jingle dance again, and I will do the acting like I'm sweeping. That way we get the whole sweep motion going for each and every one of you. But thank you guys, as always, for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in as we're breaking down the latest victory, the latest series sweep here for the Mets this year by a final score of 6-3. Let us know all your key takeaways in the comments. And guys, if you want to hang out with your guy Wardy, we have our Wardy Day tickets available, a full game to hang out with your guy Wardy, an exclusive left field lounge, pre-game on-field access for a group photo, an $18 drink voucher. It's fireworks night, and we're going to be doing a live show in the actual lounge so you guys can take part in it should you wish. We're doing so much there August 1st, the day after the deadline at Citi Field. If you guys want to be a part of it, check out our tickets that are still available. Pin in the live chat right now to all of our live viewers and to our replay viewers in the comments down below, if not in the description as well. I need to rewind for the Wardy dance. There you go, Bobbies. You love to see it. Well, what you got in the chat, guys? Bless. Right back at you, Mark. Thank you so much. God bless to you and yours. That really does mean a lot, my friend. We got Juliet. I need a broom. I know you need a broom, Juliet. Go ahead and grab one, girl. Make it happen. Not a fan of Acuna, says Juan. That's interesting. The Mets ended up their post-All-Star break homestand at 4-2. We're not going to complain too much about that either. Always going to take that positive stretch for what is, everybody. Selling low on Vientos sucks, but at least he would be living in San Diego, Boston, or let's see, Florida instead of the Chicago White Sox. I mean, so you're telling me that if the Mets do trade Vientos, he's going to be destined for one of those areas. I understand it to a degree. especially when we talk about the Padres. I'm going to expand more on that with you guys in content again, either later today, not long after this live stream has happened, or absolute latest, it'll be dropping early tomorrow with a special guest. Because regardless, I'm going to be expanding more on those trade targets with a very special guest tomorrow. However, the guest I'm going to be speaking to has a lot of information that he may be able to relay to me that we haven't heard in the public eye regarding this Mets team yet. Yes, this person is very connected. Yes, this is without question one of the biggest names we've ever had on the platform when it comes to nationwide coverage, not just the Mets. And that is what I'll leave you with. So very excited for that conversation, dropping tomorrow barring changes as long as we don't have any setbacks, as I got the recording with them in just over an hour from the time of us talking right now. So we'll see what happens there, guys. But WardyNYM, guys, rips himself the single that we saw. Francisco Lindor then rips himself the single that made it 6-1. And then afterwards, Juan Soto flies out, but not before the Mets are up by a whopping 5 runs. As we get to the 5th inning, another 1-2-3, and that will do it for Sean Manaea's final line today, everybody. Sean Manaea is as follows. This is what you got from the Samoan Southpaw as he finished with 5 innings of 2 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walk, 5 strikeout ball, just over a 2-year rate, his first 3 starts of the year. Yeah, we're going to gladly take that from the Samoan Southpaw. But what works so well about Sean today? Well, he had the four-seam fastball that he threw a whopping 70% of the time. Fastball heavy because he knew the Angels couldn't hit elect to save their life. Topped out 94 and actually sat 90 on the gun. Mind you, that's over 2 miles per hour down from his norm. The sweeper at 26% in the arsenal, topping out 81, sitting right around 77. That was also down by 2 miles per hour. The slider that we saw only thrown 3 times sat right around 81, and that's normal for him. And the changeup he threw once was at 81. Bear in mind, changeups can vary a lot when it comes to velocity, and he only threw it once. So I really that is concerned about the velocity with Sean Manaea today. I understand those concerns, but I'm going to shed some light on this, and I think it's important for you guys to know. Sean Manaea is still ramping up, meaning that while, yes, he had his rehab, Manaea has fluctuated with his velocity pretty much every start since returning back from injury. And that tells you that as long as this doesn't become a problem to hinder his actual performance, Manaea is going to be okay, and he's going to continue to ramp up more than what we're currently getting out of him, right? Sean Manaea threw a total of how many pitches today? Let's actually go ahead and double check here on the graphic. Let me go ahead and see. Manaea threw 82 pitches in 5 innings. So I'm very happy with what we got from Sean. Outside of the velocity there, which wasn't concerning, just something to bear in mind to keep an eye out of, I'm going to give Sean Manaea today another rock-solid outing for Sean. Sean gets an easy 7 out of 10 from your guy, Wardy. Even though we only won 5 innings, you still get a 7 out of 10 when you only allow 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Loved a lot. You can even argue I think that's a very respectable grade for Sean Manaea's final line, guys. If you guys have a similar grade or a very contrasting one, whatever your thoughts are, relay them in the live chat as you guys are doing right now, as well as in the comments down below. I would love to hear all your key takeaways from the Mets getting the series sweep big time, this time against the Halos by a final score of 6-3. I also realize that even though it's a day game, the one commonality I've seen with every single game I've covered this week is that there's been a lack of interest from the fans. And I think that has a whole lot to do with the fact of who they're playing, which is why I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some more intense games as the Mets get set for a gauntlet of a road trip that we know. Hopefully the Mets perform their best, have the best baseball that we could see. They're playing the San Francisco Giants twice over a week span, including Wardy Day on August 1st. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But as we continue on, guys, we would see star-studded Starling Marte rip himself a ground rule double for his 8th double of the season, everybody. That puts a runner in scoring position. Marte not skipping a beat at all, back like he never left and acting like he never went down on that what was a little bit of an injured list stint there that we saw with the right knee. Didn't need a rehab assignment either, which is great. But Marte grounded for that double, and then we would see Beatty strike out. Unfortunately, Viento's got nothing going either with a liner, and that does it there for the inning. The Mets strand a runner in scoring position, and then we get set now for the 6th inning, because here comes Huascar Brosman, everybody. And what does Brazo do? He works a clean 1-2-3. He gets the pop out of Mike Trout. He gets the walk for Taylor Ward, because of course, but then he strikes at Jo Adell swinging. And that strikeout on Jo Adell was a big boy strikeout, everybody. When we take a look at where it was a changeup that we saw way down and away that absolutely got Jo Adell to bite. Nasty pitch to swing at, and it worked in Huascar Brosman's favor, everybody. Brazo with a clean inning of work there in the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, the Mets go down 1-2-3 from Torrens to Taylor to Nimmo, so not a whole lot of show there. Then we get to the 7th, and here comes becomes Jose Butto making his return to this Mets bullpen. That's why you guys see the final line. Jose Butto can't even get out of his own mess, because as we expand more on Butto, everybody, and this is what I told myself as a Mets fan too. I said, listen, I don't love Jose Butto in a lot of situations this season. I think we could all agree. But there's one thing that I certainly do appreciate about Butto in this outing is that it made sense to bring him in that moment. You're up by 5 runs. It's his first outing back. If he's rusty, it's okay. Just make sure that you don't give him too much of a leash, or it is the demise of the Mets of this inning. S&Y is the reason we had lost interest. Let's see there. Malaza, in regards to what? Makes it so impossible for us to watch the game, but so easily for people living in the DR. Oh, are you just talking about watching the games in general, Malaza? I understand. I'm talking more so on post-game coverage than I am about the game itself, but I understand what you're saying, though. Thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate that. But as we expand more here, everybody, on Jose Butto, what did not work right for him? It was a couple things. One, Kevin Newman rips himself a single that just got past Brett Beatty. Then Travis d'Arnaud hits a single that deflects off of Beatty's glove. He just can't make the play, unfortunately. Very uncharacteristic inning for Brett Beatty at the hot corner. Usually, he's locked in. Unfortunately, there, we didn't have the best defense. Also, against some unfortunate luck against him there. Renifo, then, everybody, grounds into a force out, but that would allow the run to score. Alonso's not going to make the throw to home. He just gets a force out, and that makes it a 4-run ball game, still down for the Angels. Then a wild pitch for Jose Butto allows Renifo to get to second base, and I did not love to see that. Then Chris Taylor, everybody, rips himself his 6th double of the season, and that makes it a 6-3 Mets lead. But that deficit was almost cut in half there, thanks to the Halos taking advantage of Jose Butto's lack of consistent pitching that we saw in this one. After the ground out on Zach Neto, here comes Brooks Raley. Love me some Brooks Raley, who actually walks Nolan Shanuel to begin the inning, but then gets a ground out on Mike Trout to end it. I mean, isn't that crazy? Imagine a world where you walk Nolan Shanuel, who I know Nolan's been good this year. He torched us yesterday. But you walk Nolan Shanuel, and then you get a ground out on Mike Trout to end the inning when you had 2 on, 2 out. Very impressive. Great job by Brooks Raley. He's been a dog all year long since coming back from injury, even though he's only been back for what? Was this his 3rd or 4th outing? Either way, Raley's been nails as expected. Then we see guys with 2 outs after Lindor and Soto do nothing. Alonso rips himself a single. That's all she wrote for the inning. And the top of the 7th, we would see Brooks Raley continue on, and he gives up a leadoff walk to Taylor Ward. He then gets a called strike 3 there on Joe Adell. And then we would see Logan O'Hoppe fly out as he came in as a pinch hitter. And then here comes Edwin Diaz, everybody. Edwin is expected to get the 4-out save yet again here. And what happens? He hits Travis d'Arnaud with a pitch. No love lost between the former Met there and a man who actually, I don't think, did Edwin ever play with Travis? He did for like the smallest sample size, 2019. And then I think Travis was cut in the 2020 shortened season, if I'm not mistaken. It was that or the beginning of 2021. I think it was 2020 though. But regardless, d'Arnaud, Diaz, former teammates, now foes, gets the hit by pitch. Again, a small hit by pitch, just a graze of a hit by pitch. But that does it there. Then Renifo is called out on strikes because Edwin Diaz is a dog. But not only is Edwin Diaz a dog, but it's also horrendous officiating by the umpire guys. All strike calls from the first slider to the second slider to the third slider, all 3 that were called strikes, none of them touched the strike zone. Renifo was unbelievably screwed. Every Angel coach and player was fuming, understandably so. This is what would be having me as a Mets fan losing my effing mind if that happened to my ball club. Thankfully, it didn't happen to my Mets. It happened against the team that they were playing. However, this is exactly why we need challenges in Major League Baseball, because this shit can't fly. This stuff cannot happen. And the fact that umpires can be this egregious and get no call right. Guys, I don't know how else to expand on this other than to just show you in case you guys missed it. So let me go ahead and do exactly that. In case you guys are wondering, Wardy, the call can't be that bad. Guys, look at this. So you let me know. You guys think this call was bad? This was horrendous. Like, beyond awful. And the fact that this happens on an almost nightly basis to at least one team is insane. It happens so consistently. It really does suck. And I'm not happy to see that. That sucks. But thankfully, it banned for the Mets there, and they got out of the inning, especially because that was a jam. Stephen A., great member. Michael Valenti, happy to have you guys in here. I did see that stuff about Arise. I don't really care for Arise too much, however. I don't really see why the Mets would need a guy like him, but I'll expand on that more in content. Don't you worry. Barry, how we doing? In my opinion, Wardy, give Butto 2-3 outings to get settled. Of course, yeah. You're not going to make an immediate drastic decision on Butto and his implementation in the bullpen based on today's outing when he just came back from injury. Has more work to do. We all know that. Let's see. The Mets aren't going to trade for starting pitching. One, that isn't out of the realm of possibility nearly as much as you think. The Mets are specifically in the market for ace caliber starters, should they be present. And there was an ace caliber starter that just entered the market today. And no, that's not exaggeration. That's a fact. So regardless of the fact of, while it's not a guarantee that the Mets will acquire a starter, the notion that they for certain wouldn't, that just simply isn't true. We have to let time be the dictator there. What is certain that we know is that the Mets are going to be landing relievers. And I'll be shocked if the Mets don't at least land one reliever in the next week. I'll be further shocked if the Mets don't have 2+ relievers added from now up until the deadline there on July 31st. So we will get to that certainly when it is time. Andres, I know we're going to talk about him. Trust me, I'm excited to talk about him because one of the most unlucky pitchers in all of baseball this season. We're going to expand on that plenty. But in the bottom of the 8th, everybody, after we would see everybody get ejected by the Angels, their interim manager there coming in for Ron Washington, who unfortunately can't manage for the rest of the year due to health issues there for the Halos. I'm wishing Ron well and his family. We saw Ray Montgomery calling out the 3 calls, all that were, mind you, sliders, out of the zone, call for strikes. He's still losing his mind over it a half inning later, and he gets thrown out of the ball game because of it. Understandable. Umpire had to take that shit. Why? Because Buddy was horrendous today. Then we see a 1-2-3 for the Mets from Beatty to Acuna to Terrence. Then we get ourselves set for the 9th inning. What happens? First pitch by Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. Hit by pitch square in the skull of Chris Taylor. I kid you not. If it wasn't for Chris turning last second, not only would he have ate that baseball, but it would have been Kevin Pillar in Atlanta 2021 all over again. If you know, you know. It would have been disgusting. It would have been horrendous, but thankfully Taylor appears okay. He turned his head just in time. Mind you, he took 100, like straight to the head, basically. But thankfully, he turned his head just in time. He had the flap, which most batters have nowadays, and that was beneficial because Taylor popped right back up, and he actually stayed in the ball game like the madman that Chris Taylor is, and I commend him. That's some ballsy shit to stay out there in that ball game, but he did it, and pardon my French, everybody. Zach Nino then struck out swinging after Taylor took his base and stayed in the ballgame. Nolan Shanuel grounded out everybody. And then here's Mike Trout facing off against Edwin Diaz. And who wins? It is Edwin Diaz. Mets would go on to win this one, everybody, that we would see there by a final score of, yes, 6-3. And the key takeaways there on this one, everybody, on the pitching end, I gave Sean Manaea a rock solid 7 out of 10 for his outing today. For this bullpen, given Jose Budo not being too great, I am going to give the bullpen a grade today of a 6 out of 10, I think is what we're going to go. 6 to 6.5, I think is respectable. You allowed 2 earned runs in a total of 4 innings. I really can't go higher than that, but the context of guys outside of Budo, I think, are important because Edwin Diaz gave you the 4-out save, which was huge. Brooks Raley nails again. You see how much the Mets love Raley and how much they miss this man? Raley's been utilized in almost every single game since coming back, since being officially activated by this Mets team. He wasn't in the bullpen yesterday, so that was good. So they didn't use him on 3 consecutive days in a row. But Raley is clearly a guy that the Mets are going to depend on a lot. And in order to make sure that a guy like Raley, who's coming back from Tommy John surgery at the young age of 37, mind you, to make sure that Raley does not find himself in the category where he gets burnt out and then the Mets have no lefty option consider, they need to make sure that they go ahead and add some key arms over the next week plus, and they're going to do that. No doubt in my mind, no doubt in your mind. It's been widely reported that the Mets are going to land multiple relievers, and as Will Salmon stated in his latest article with The Athletic today, mind you, everything he stated in the article was verbatim of what we talked about in our hour-long conversation that we dropped on the platform yesterday. He made his article pretty much reiterating everything that we talked about. So as long as you guys watch that segment, nothing that he stated in that article, for the most part, was new news to you. And it's important to make note of that, everybody, because as we know, the Mets are in the market for multiple relievers right now. Not just one high leverage guy. They're in the market for multiple. So if they land a Duran, that'd be fantastic, or a Class A. But if they do that, they're probably not going to be able to do much other work in the bullpen. And they allocate those assets to different areas for high quality guys, but aren't, the creme de la creme, the best available, but are still very good, have team control among other things. That can bode well for this club as well. So again, 6.5 tops out of 10 is what your guy Wardy is going to grade there on the pitching end. And on the offensive end, everybody, let's go ahead and grade this, what I liked and what I didn't like about this one for the Metsies. Brandon Nimmo, what a big home run tonight that we saw the RBI, 264 average, 797 OPS. Lindor snapped the 0 for 31 skid, 2 for 4, what a run scored. 2 RBIs, 248 average, 746 OPS. Soto 0 for Don't look it up. Juan Soto's like 0 for his last 19 or so. Kind of crazy. But he will find his groove. I know he will. 253 average, 883 OPS. It would just be great if he found his groove with the rest of the offense, because that's the one thing that really hasn't happened much this season at all. Alonso with a huge towering 3-run ding-dong, 440 feet, 272 average, 884 OPS. Start-studded Starling Marte with a nice game back. Love that for Marte. And Marte, just like that, everybody, after the double and single, casually has a 275 average, 751 OPS. This is why he said before the season began, guys, and a lot of you guys laughed at me. I'm like, okay, just pay attention. In limited sample sizes especially, Starling Marte can bat 280 in his sleep, and he's almost there. He's so close. Brett Beatty, 1 for 4, 238 average, 723 OPS. Mark Vientos, 1 for 3 with the double, 224 average, 633 OPS. Luis Angel Acuna, 0 for 1, 241 average, 577 OPS. And Torrens, 0 for 4 with a run, scored 216 average, 595 OPS. Tyrone Taylor, 0 for 2 with a run, scored 209 average, 570 OPS, everybody. And that is what you got for the Mets on the offensive end in this one. So now, guys, to expand more on just talking about the Mets offense, let's get into more here talking about this Mets team as a whole, because there's a couple things I want to share with each and every one of you. Wardy, if we go 5 in a row, last year was a McDonald mascot. This year will be your mom's lobster paintings. They're not paintings. Those are actual, you know what? These aren't paintings. These are just a bunch of like wall decor lobsters is what they are. Shout out to Mama Ward. That's what these are. Really hilarious. And I'll tell you this much: the fact that the Mets are on a 4-game heater, the fact that the Mets have an off day tomorrow, and the fact that I am heading back home within the next 24 hours tells me I might need to bring one of these back. We might need to bring a rally lobster back. I think we got to do it. What do you guys think? You guys let me know in the live chat in the comments down below. Should Wardy bring the rally lobster back home to Pennsylvania? I think that's what he's going to have to do, in all seriousness. I'm not 0 for his last 19 when he hit a 2-run single in the first game there, Lugo. Are you talking about Soto? If so, understood. Soto hasn't had much of it. He's 1 for his last time, 19 or so, I believe, from what they said on the broadcast. Please don't. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're gonna rock the lobster. I think we got to do it. Between Elmo, between the lobsters, we're getting something cooking, guys. Again, it doesn't need to be anything that makes sense. It just needs to be something that works for the Mets, and this is clearly working right now. So we're gonna bring the lobster back to PA. That's what we're gonna do. Love to see it. But all right, guys. Now that we talked about the lobsters, we talked about the highs of this Mets offense, and we talked about what was certainly impressive with Sean Manaea today, and what I liked going 5 strong innings of 1 earned run baseball. Let's now expand, everybody, on the following regarding this club and how they're currently shaping as we get into their next matchup. Because as we know, the Mets have a really, really big road trip that's going to begin starting this Friday, 10:15 p.m. Eastern. Why? Because you know what? The Mets don't want the MLB, not the Mets. MLB doesn't want Wardy to at all have a proper sleep schedule. He knows that Wardy has to get up early morning, plenty of the time with the kiddo to get his day started. 5 a.m. throughout that series, because that's what I'm going to have to do. Is the Mets post-game show for that we'll be doing probably won't be starting until at least 1 a.m., if not 1:30, and that'll take me to 2:30 a.m., and then I'm going to have to worry about making a video there for the next day to drop for our videos that drop usually in the a.m. or, around noon the following day for you guys. So it's going to be hectic as hell. We got a 10:15 game for game 1 this Friday. Then you got a 9 p.m. game Eastern on Saturday, which is, again, I can enjoy my Saturday, just going to be a long day. And then a night game on that Sunday at 7:10. And then you're in San Diego, where you're going to see a certain starting pitcher toe the rubber for the Mets after he's been acquired by the Mets. I'm half joking as I say that, but I think it is very fitting that the Mets have connections going on with the Padres right now, as we're about to get set for a road trip and play them. But the Mets game 1 of that series, everybody, we have Clay Holmes towing the rubber against Logan Webb. Something very interesting about Clay Holmes that I actually mentioned in our segment with Will Salmon yesterday that I implore you guys to check out if you haven't already. Great conversation, a lot of tidbits regarding what the Mets plan to do up until the deadline, and a lot of information that if you guys haven't been paying attention locked in daily, you have missed out on a lot. So make sure to check it out. As great as Logan Webb is, we got Clay Holmes towing the rubber. And as I mentioned in yesterday's content with Will, I stated, could the Mets consider Clay Holmes back in a reliever role this year? And the answer to that is they may. It's possible. Andy Martino of SNY just relayed today that while it's not necessarily something the Mets are trying to go out of their way to do because they like the ramp up, well, Holmes, they like how he's healing up from his starts. However, Having said that, the Mets aren't completely foreign to the thought of putting Clay back into a reliever role if they add a starter by this year's deadline, because that would pretty much box him out. That would make a lot of sense if you added someone of quality and made Clay more of your swingman or true actual dominant reliever type. So not a guarantee that Clay is going to get pushed to the bullpen, but it's something that we should have a discussion about because it's not out of the realm of possibility the way that maybe you thought it was a couple months ago. But Clay is toeing the rubber against Logan Webb, game 1 of that series. Game 2, everybody, between the Mets and the Giants is going to be David Pearson and his just under 3-year Ray facing Mr. Robbie Ray and his under 3-year Ray. The battle of the Southpaws. And honestly, what is up with David Pearson constantly having these southpaw matchups? Have you guys noticed that? He's had a lot of lefty-lefty matchups that we've seen as of late. But Robbie Ray is a dog. He's back. Robbie Tight Pants, as people love to call him, because he's always wearing those tight pants there on the mound. If you know, you know. Robbie's looked great coming back from injury this season for the Giants, and that's why I love the pickup for the Giants when they went out and acquired him when he was still dealing with his ailment. Ray only pitched in 7 games last year to a 4.7 ERA. This season, 2.92 there. Really, really good for San Fran, and that's why the Giants are currently right around 4 or 5 games above 500, in large part because of that pitching helping carry the way. In the series finale, we have Kodai Senga trying to bounce back after what was just a mechanically not-so-sound outing for him, in which he allowed 4 earned runs in three innings. Very much uncharacteristic for Kodai Senga. But what is true with Kodai is that Kodai is looking to bounce back with his 1.79 ERA, facing to be determined there for the Giants. So while we have yet to officially find out as to who the Giants will have towing the rubber for that series finale, that very well may be a rubber match should the Mets and the Giants split the first 2 games there in the weekend. Let's see. And yes, Alberto, that is a Dogfish logo. That is correct. Absolutely. I'm personally not a huge Dogfish 60 fan. For context, my mom, big Dogfish 60 fan. That's like probably her favorite beer by far. Not really many others that she drinks, but she's going to drink. For me, if I'm a Dogfish guy, I'm going more Sequench. If you guys know what that is, Sequench is more of a salty, limey ale. Really, really like that. I'm not a big IPA guy. I feel like you need to be at least 40 years of age to enjoy IPAs because your taste buds change. I don't even say that as a joke. I say that like as a fact. A lot of things I liked when I was younger, back in my teen years, I don't like now as, you know, a dad and a young adult. You know, being in my mid-20s, my palate's very different now, and I don't have a sweet tooth like I used to have. I used to love chocolate and all that stuff. Now, unless it's dark chocolate, I want nothing to do with it. And even then, I'm probably not all that inclined to have it because I know your taste buds change every so many years. But that was a little wordy tangent. Why? Because Buddy has ADHD through the roof, and we're going to continue to roll with the punches as we always do here on the platform. So, folks, I think that was about a perfect spot for us to wrap up the live show. I want to thank you so much, as always, for watching live on a replay. I'm guilty as charged. You're 46, my exact point, Alberto. And here's the thing. When you were 26, guarantee you probably weren't pounding IPAs, right? It's very different because people that actually enjoy beer aren't pounding IPAs just to pound them. You're drinking them because you actually enjoy the hops. You enjoy the fragrance that comes along with them. You enjoy the bitterness. You enjoy the notes if you're going to have a saison of more of your fruity beers among others. You know, there's your sours especially, you know. I'm getting on a tangent here. I got to shut up. When do I think Stearns will start making moves? Sanders, I fully expect the Mets to make a trade at some point from now up until this weekend's end. I'll be surprised if that didn't happen. So that's what I have to say about that. But having said that, though, everybody, I got to run because I got to make content for you guys beyond just our post-game shows. Hope you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe on your way out. If you guys haven't already, to our north of 200 viewers, help us get to 100 plus likes by the end of the live show. Help us get to 250 plus likes to our replay viewers there that watch us live on a replay. Really does mean a lot. Like I said, be on the lookout for more content dropping either later today or tomorrow. My birthday is coming up, as a matter of fact, Rose. It's right towards the end of August. So yes, birthday's coming up. A lot of things coming up over the next month, as a matter of fact, that I'm excited for. So until then, everybody, you guys enjoy the rest of your great night, evening, whenever you're watching this, everybody. Be on the lookout for more Mets content dropping potentially later today, the off day tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. See you then. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out, guys. Love you all to death. Wardy Day. Tickets down below.